Okay, so today we're going to talk about marking, and I am absolutely rubbish at marking, transferring the markings from my pattern. These markings, dots, lines, all of that, I'm rubbish at transferring those onto the fabric, but I've got to get good at it because making your own clothes or repairing your own clothes is an important homesteading skill. It's also an important thriving skill. When society breaks down and you can't go to the store, maybe your clothes are wearing out and you've got to make new, but you found some fabric in grandma's basement and you don't know what to do with it. So you have to be able to make your own clothes. And one of the skills involved in that is transferring your pattern markings. So there's a lot of different ways that you could do that. You could use tailor's chalk, and tailor's chalk looks like this or some kind of variety of this. And you see it makes a nice line as long as you've got a good sharp edge. So it's dark, but the problem with tailor's chalk is, depending on the fabric, it could wipe off fairly easily. I made a wool cloak and used tailor's chalk to transfer my markings, and it had worn off before I finished the cloak. So there's that option. All right. Now, the next option that we have is disappearing ink. Disappearing ink, unfortunately, disappears very quickly. Plus, it's hard to see on the darker fabrics. I've got a pink there. I also have air and water soluble ink purple. This would be fine for darker or for lighter fabrics, but it's not going to work for what I'm doing. Okay. Then I have a water soluble marking pencil, and you have to press pretty hard, but that'll make a decent mark, and that won't wear off as easily as your chalk does. And next we have transfer paper. And transfer paper, this is what I purchased, but this is not the only kind of transfer paper. This is wax free. If you can find the really old stuff and you're using a washable fabric, find some vintage transfer paper, and that you can use it forever and ever. It has some wax in it, so those markings come out really good and clear and crisp, and they don't wear off. So transfer paper, it comes in different colors. But the great thing about this is you can put your transfer paper on, lay your fabric inside of it, and then put your pattern piece over top of it, transfer your markings using either a dotted wheel here, or a serrated wheel, I should say, or a smooth wheel. Now, I don't know the difference, why you would use the two different ones, but let me find a piece of paper so I can show you how that would transfer. I'm just going to use this random piece of paper that I found. And there's a smooth wheel. There's a dotted wheel. Now you're going to make holes with a dotted wheel there. Don't know that it really matters. But that's with a red, and I don't even know if that's coming through with the camera. It's really not. Let's see. There you can see it. All right. So now let's do the same thing, only with the yellow. Okay. But the great thing about this is, you see, it transfers the markings to the other side as well. All right, so then maybe the yellow is going to show up even better, and that might be the one that we end up using to go on this purple fabric. But again, you just trace over it. And there you have good, clean lines. So the option that we're going to use mostly today is going to be using this yellow transfer paper, which I actually really like for transfer paper anyway. This packet, by the way, it comes in different colors. You've got white and gray, blue, the red, and the yellow. So we're just going to put this back in its envelope. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and learn how to transfer markings. These are the many options that we have available. Another thing that can be done is to use a needle and thread and baste those markings on, which I never will do because that's too much of a pain in the neck. But let's move forward. Well, I guess the first thing we're going to go ahead and transfer markings on is going to be this sash right here. And the easiest way to do that, I'm going to have to unpin it. And there is a fold line that goes all the way, and it's right dead center, and so I'm pretty sure I'm not going to need to mark that because I can figure out what dead center is. But there are these circles, and I've seen that the easiest way to transfer these circles is, put it back together, Melissa. Now this would have to be done in two parts, unfortunately, because of the way that I was seeing how to do this. I wasn't told, I was shown on YouTube. I looked it up. Like, what are some good, easy ways to mark your patterns? And one of the things that they said was to put a pin in to the hole right there. We're doing size 6, by the way, and so that's the hole that there we go. But I stuck the pin in. And now I'm going to lift that one up, turn it over, and I'm going to mark right again where that pin goes through. And it's not easy. That's really a pain in the neck. But there we go. My very first mark. I'm going to just take these, fold them up, and set them aside. The next one that I'm going to do is for the bodice. Now, I'm using the same pattern piece, or the same fabric, I mean, for the lining and for the outside of the bodice. So we're just going to go ahead and remove the pins, and we can see that the fabric is wrong side out, and we'll mark one at a time. That got wrinkled, and it's kind of bothering me, but I'm not going to let it bother me too much. I should repress it. I'm not going to. Bad grandma. All right, so there's lots of marks that need to be transferred on this one. We've got these triangles here that are on the edge. And this triangle here. And a triangle here. Not really sure what that's for. And then we've got a dot here, a circle here, and a dot there. So the easiest thing to do when transferring these, again, we're not going to have to use the transfer paper yet. I'm going to do the same thing with this that I did with the sash. I'm going to put a pin through. And we have the pin going through here. And here. Right. And and again where the pin went through. And then we'll put the pin through this one. And this really is the easiest way I've ever seen this done. I was kind of surprised at how easy it was. Oh, another way that I've seen this do is just to take a hole punch and hole punch through these circles and then fill it in with your pencil. So maybe I'll try that on the next one and see how that works. There we go. All right, so that's all 3 circles. And then we have these notches. Now my grandmother used to actually clip every single one of these notches out. But I saw a lady on YouTube. She said that instead of clipping the whole triangle out, she just clips, make sure I get through both layers, right through, just like that. All right, and then we have another triangle up here. But I am not at all sure why this triangle is here. Let me see if I can open this up and find out. All right, so on this triangle, I'm not going to clip. What I will do instead is I'm going to do the same thing I did with the pins for the circle. I'm just going to put a pin right there. And I'm going to assume that it has something to do with matching up. So that pin right there is the tip of the triangle. So we'll go ahead and draw a triangle there. And again, tip of the triangle, and we'll go ahead and draw the triangle there. I don't know why it's there, but I suppose if it's there, it's probably needed. So now I have to do this again with the other piece. So this is one of those things that I have to keep practicing on, transferring these marks, because I've got to get good at this. Ultimately, I do want to be able to make my own clothes because I'm shaped funny, and with my funny shape, I don't fit most of your clothes there at the store. Also, my tastes are a little different than most people's, so you're not really going to find what I want at the store. All right, so here's the next one we're going to do. This is the center back, and it's going to look almost the same as the previous one. Okay, so on this piece we've got several things to mark. We have some markings here, which I think is actually the bottom of the zipper line. This mark here, which is the center back. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mark these the way I've been doing with a pin. Actually, no. I'm going to do that with the, what do you call it? The paper, the transfer paper. I'm going to do that with the transfer paper. Same time I do this one.